Okay, I gotta get into this quick because he just went live. I'm about to watch Don't Mess with Truckers with, frick, I really want to say it. Michael Knowles. Yeah, Michael Knowles. Sorry, but Michael Knowles, I first got onto you when you did your Tom McDonald reaction. So, Michael Knowles is the hip hop guy to go to at the Daily Wire. Anyways, he just went live, so I'll probably at least have a couple seconds to see what he's saying here. So let's take a look. He's dealing with the trucker thing today. I was gonna do a bunch of live reactions of what's going down there, but I like this guy's comedy and I like his take on things. So here's my action a few seconds after Michael Knowles' video. Here, as we go. So, uh, yeah, I'm pretty new at this.
Accommodating people on the planet, but apparently.
Alright, here we go. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Oh, come on now. Oh, make me look bad in front of my two fans. Yeah, here we go.
Canadians are some of the nicest, most agreeable, most accommodating people on the planet. But apparently, even America's hat has its limits. Specifically, Canada's truckers, thousands of whom have descended on the nation's capital to protest the country's vaccine mandate and general descent into a biomedical police state.
Now, I do want to say one thing here. Like, it is totally all the mandates, but, like, truckers have to wear masks in their trucks when they're by themselves. And the stuff that Trudeau has said since this has occurred is unbelievable. Like, we're not the minority. We're not out there causing trouble. This is the most peaceful it's a Canadian protest, and they're saying, yeah. Anyways, let's get back in, buddy, here.
What a moment into a biomedical police state.
What a moment in Canadian history! Here at Parliament Hill! I love you, Canada!
I wish I could be there right now.
For decades, the international left has enjoined the workers of the world to unite. And now that they are uniting, leftist leaders are terrified.
I am also going to pause this a bit because I have had issues with copyright. I really hope this guy doesn't because I want his info out there, so I hope he helps support. But yeah,
furious, and have even gone into hiding. I'm Michael Knowles. It's the Michael Knowles Show.
I'll kind of pause that for a second because I imagine there's music and a couple little bit of copyright things there.
Welcome back.
And
My
then I
favorite
just played
comment
it again.
yesterday is from Andy Tanner, who says, Neil Young, keep on rocking in a free world. Also Neil Young, papers please.
Oh,
Show me your papers or else.
yeah, the Neil Young guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Joe Rogan loves Neil Young. Fucking.
The word free.
But I think they made more money going over to their new providers, and at that age, they probably could get the money for it.
What does this word free mean? The libs think that freedom means the ability to shoot up whatever drugs you want and have sex with whoever you want and get free stuff from the government. The sort of libertarians kind of agree with that. They don't agree with the free stuff from the government part, but they agree with the do whatever you want part. And then the conservatives believe
That's about where I'm at.
freedom means the...
So I don't agree with everything this guy
sin,
says.
From vice, from degeneracy, from your basest appetites. Freedom to have a good community, and the freedom to have safety in your neighborhood, the freedom to have flourishing families and a good life. What does free mean? Something tells me Neil Young...
That I can do whatever I want to myself.
Not the whole story.
As long as I don't harm anybody else or their property.
Neil Young wrote a famous
That's
song,
freedom to me.
Man, where he
It's
was
called the
going
harm
out and
principle,
bought a
I
ranch,
believe.
And he met this old man who had been living on the ranch. He's, old man, take a look at my life. And that's the whole song about buying this ranch. Well, when you want meat from some of the best ranches in America, you really got to check out Good Ranchers.
We got to pause it again. Like I said about copyright and whatnot, but ranches, bud. All the meat's gonna be grown in a lab in a few years. Then what do we do with all the cattle? I guess we've eaten them all. We're just gonna release the rest into the wild.
Really hate being lied to. I'm sure you hate being lied to as well. And did you know when you go to the grocery store and you buy your meat, you very often see a sticker that says product of USA. Did you know that 85% of the grass-fed beef in the United States is imported from overseas? Did you know that
I doubt that. I bet a lot of it comes from Texas and Alberta.
There's minimal processing here.
Unless it's like
People
Kobe
importing
beef or something.
Cheap beef from foreign countries and they'll call it American beef. Don't do it. Don't buy that cheap imported beef that lacks true, good American
I'm Alberta.
flavor.
It comes from Alberta.
All their steaks are USDA prime and choice graded. Means the steakhouse can come to your door. I had some delicious ribeyes, not last night, 2 nights ago, from Good Ranchers. They were absolutely fabulous. Grilled them up to perfection. Right now you can save, not a joke, $30 with my code Knowles. K-N-O-W-L-E-S at checkout. $30. That's a lot of money off any box. Biggest discount they've ever offered. Today is the day to save big on your new favorite steak. They are the exclusive meat company of the Daily Wire for good reason. Go to goodranchers.com/.
Come on, bud.
To save $30.
I guess it's time for a pause.
Your most flavorful.
I'm going to do a little bit of a skip.
Stepping up. This is also related to Neil Young. So Neil Young, a Canadian,
All right, here we go.
Destroy American
Trucker time.
broadcasting, trying to take down any non-woke broadcaster up to and including Joe Rogan. But then you've got these other Canadians stepping up and saying, no, we don't want to live in a biomedical security state. You got thousands of truckers just driving through the streets of the capital, now coming to the U.S. border to block up the U.S. border and saying, no, we're not going to take it anymore.
I've heard there's been Australian truckers, American truckers, everybody's supporting this thing, yet we're the fringe minority.
Truckers, the lifeblood of
But
the economy.
there you go, exactly.
The workers of the salt of the earth, the blue collar of the blue collar, are uniting and they're...
Trudeau 2 years ago said, we have to support the truckers, and here he is hiding from them.
They're exerting their political influence and power, just like the left has been begging them to do for over a century now. And what are the leftist leaders doing in response? Are they applauding? Are they cheering? Are they supporting the truckers?
I think him and Michael Knowles.
Of Canada,
He is Michael Knowles. Never
gone
mind.
into hiding. Not only has he not shown up for the protest, he's run away. He doesn't want to have to face the mob, the
Brain fart.
relatively peaceful mob of truckers, the relatively peaceful protest, and so he's gone into hiding. He's issued a statement, and he's condemned the protest.
I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals.
Yeah, this is
supported
bullshit.
The people expressing their concerns and
Yes.
their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that.
This
But I have
isn't
also
Black
chosen
Lives
to
Matter.
not
This is a
go
Canadian
anywhere near
protest.
Protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric.
There hasn't been
violence
any.
towards fellow citizens,
There hasn't.
and a disrespect.
What you're saying right now is disrespectful.
The frontline health workers and, quite frankly, the 90%
I have family on the front line.
have been doing the
Health
right thing
workers,
to
that
keep
is.
Canadians safe, to put food on our tables. Canadians
Where are you
know I
hiding?
stand. This is a moment for responsible leaders to think carefully about where they stand.
I do not support.
I know where I stand.
I don't do a very good Canadian accent. The only one that I do somewhat well is Jordan Peterson, but that's not the same one as Justin Trudeau.
Peterson, go.
He says, I do not support violence. I do not support.
Sorry,
hateful
guys.
rhetoric.
Pause time.
I
Pause
love
break.
BLM.
2-second pause. Like I said, I don't know if I can. Yeah, we'll see by the
They
end.
would never get violent, right? They would never burn a country down.
This guy's cool.
They would never spew just bile. They would never tear down a country's revered figures and statues and firebomb buildings and attack federal courthouses and kill dozens of people. They would never do that. Not BLM. That's why I support BLM. But some nice, generally polite Canadian truckers, them I cannot support. What Trudeau is showing us is something really basic.
And before we go too much farther, this isn't a skinhead cut. I tried to do a self-cut at home because of restrictions, and I went a little too far up on the back and all that. This isn't my regular haircut. I think it looks alright, though. especially for these days.
About the way politics operates. Us versus them. In politics, in all successful political movements.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to go back at you.
What Trudeau is showing us is something really basic about the way politics operates. Us versus them.
Yeah.
In politics. In
They're
all
supposed to be
successful
us.
political movements. You've got to unite. You've got to have a team. And you got to support
He's
your
dividing
team.
us right now.
And you've got to show grace to your team members. And you've got to oppose your opponents. This seems basic, right? But we've kind of forgotten that sometimes. This is why conservatives constantly decry double standards. You say, hold on, that leftist media outlet is going softer on the leftist political activists.
Oh, CNN's out of
conservative
control
political
right now.
activists. Right, because
I used to like them,
and
and they are
conservatives on
absolute
the opposite team,
garbage.
Which is why this isn't rocket science, guys. This is politics 101.
They blatantly
And so
lie.
What you're seeing in Canada now is the leftist media, also in America, the leftist media, are saying that these truckers are Nazis, they're hateful, they're violent,
not.
they're dangerous, they're all sorts of things.
A lot of the
None them
truckers
will
are
because
actually of
they find
probably
one guy, one fringe
international
guy doing
descent.
something bad or
And they
holding
came
up a
here
symbol
looking
that
for good
you don't like, or,
jobs.
that's some
And now they're being
terrible
punished.
Far-right extremist, evil symbol, and they'll say, okay, this fringe person is representative of the whole Canadian trucker movement. As far as I can tell, the Canadian truckers haven't killed anybody, have they?
Nope.
BLM killed dozens of people. The Canadian truckers, I don't think they've done that. And yet the Canadian truckers are
Other than
hateful,
accidents.
terrible terrorists.
Disclaimer.
They're dangerous, and the BLM are mostly peaceful protests, right? Well, sure, that's a double standard. Why is it a double standard? Justin Trudeau just told you. Yes, well, I'm going to support leftists, and I'm going to oppose conservatives.
Trudeau doesn't
Oh, okay.
care
I guess we
or
should have
know
done that.
anything.
Maybe we should order our political movements accordingly. It's not just happening in Canada. The leftist media in America is coming out strongly against the truckers, and they're saying that the truckers and anyone protesting for a return to normal life and freedoms and civil liberties and good communities in Canada, they're basically members of a cult.
So,
Oh, okay. Good time to pause. I did hear about this. They're calling it a cult. There's over 100,000 people that support it. 50,000 truckers last time I heard. And over 100,000 people. That's not a cult, people. Oh.
over the weekend, thousands of protesters brought the capital of Canada to a
Yeah.
standstill. Dozens of trucks and other vehicles could be seen blocking the downtown area of
These
Ottawa
people should be
as
fired or
protesters
canceled.
rallied against
Blatant
vaccine
lies.
mandates,
Blatant
masks, and
lies.
lockdowns.
That seems like an interesting way to spend your
Look
weekend.
at
The demonstrations were initially aimed at pushback against vaccine mandates for truck drivers crossing the U.S.-Canada border.
That's
But the
only a
movement
partial amount of
escalated
people.
into an expression of disapproval with the Canadian government's COVID-19
Most of them are still in their
policies.
trucks.
Officials say several investigations are underway into reports of severe vandalism and criminal behavior,
No.
including the desecration of national monuments.
Where were these protests?
Somebody-
People were required to take
Okay,
5 vaccines.
desecration of national
Where were
monuments.
these
Somebody took a white piece of paper and put it on the Terry Fox sign, one of our great heroes. Wikipedia him if you got to. And it was just a simple piece of paper that said freedom or something. I won't get into the details, but it was not desecration by any means of a monument.
protests when people were required to give their children 5 vaccines?
They were in the doctor's
Before
office getting
they-
vaccines.
They were in the doctor's
This
office getting
part makes
vaccines.
no
They were
sense.
making fun of left-wingers on the West Coast.
Coming out.
It's a
No,
cult.
Yes, it is.
you shouldn't be
It's a
fucking
cult.
commenting on Canadian
These
politics.
people, these truckers who are not blindly following authority are in a cult. These truckers who are thinking for themselves and doing their own research and questioning the ever-changing proclamations of the priests of public health, who won't just go along like good little sheep, they're in a cult. Where were they when they were told to get other vaccines? I don't know. They were probably weighing the risks and looking into the history of the vaccines and recognizing that certain vaccines have decades and decades and decades of data behind them. And certain vaccines do what vaccines are supposed to do and prevent you from contracting and spreading certain diseases and viruses. And then some newer vaccines use completely new, basically untested technology with no long-term data that don't do the things that the public health geniuses told us they would do. And maybe they're making prudential judgments based on that. Maybe they're using their faculties of reason and not just following the high cult leader, Dr. Fauci. Maybe that's what they're doing. It's a cult. And did you hear what Mika said? Oh, this was bad. A tear almost dropped from my eye. She said that some of these truckers, there are reports, we don't have any evidence of it, so it probably didn't happen, but there are reports that they were desecrating national monuments.
Yeah. Oh, good thing.
Could you imagine, just imagine, if a leftist movement ever desecrated national monuments? Imagine if there were a leftist movement that existed almost entirely to desecrate national monuments and tear down statues and vandalize statues for months and months. Oh, right, that exists. It's called BLM, and you people applauded it. You love desecrating national
Wasn't a
monuments
desecration though, but
when it's your guys doing it, and when it's monuments that you don't like. It's just us versus them. That's what this is.
it's basically Terry Fox was a runner, so they put the paper sign where like your running number would be, and it said like
We were told for many years
freedom
that
or something.
the
It
us of
was a
conservatives,
desecration
of
by
plutocrats
any
and
means.
the big fat cats and rich Uncle Pennybags and all the zillionaires in the corporate class. And
Nope.
for them, the leftists, they're the workers of the world. They're the salt of the earth. They're labor.
Let's do a pause break. Oh, this guy's good. But yeah, it wasn't desecration. It's been totally peaceful. There's a lot more people than they're saying, and there's a lot of people that wish they could be there. Canada only has 30 million. I bet there's well over. Well, I don't want to say that. I'm not going to give numbers, but there's more of us than they're making it out to be.
But that doesn't seem to be the case. The truckers are a great example here because
They just get to. The truckers are finally speaking out for the rest of us that haven't had a voice.
From a high tower in Rockefeller Plaza, they're not exactly the Teamsters, are they? What you're seeing here is an historic opportunity for conservatives to be the party of labor, to be the party of the working class.
We tried.
It's there. It's up for
Ontario and
it.
Quebec keep fucking us over and
Will
taking
the
our money.
conservatives step in to fill that gap? We
We
should.
love our money,
It's the right
but
thing
they
to do,
don't
and
fucking want to hear our
politically, it would be
voice.
very smart. Now, we have the opportunity as conservatives to be the party of the working class, to be the party of the ordinary citizen, to be the party not of the global, cosmopolitan, laptop class elite who don't really mind lockdowns because lockdowns don't really affect them, and who don't really have any respect for national borders, and who don't really have any respect for national traditions. But that's the Democrats. That's the left. That's not us. We can be the party of the traditional way of life and good old common sense and prudence if we seize that opportunity. The libs are making it very easy for us. Gavin Newsom, Governor of California.
I don't like the
showed up to
system,
LA
but
Rams game in LA.
it is going to come down to that.
And
We
he
got to
pulled
take
the
it back.
mask mandate for big events. He goes to the game, and what happens? He takes a photo with Magic Johnson, neither of whom are wearing masks. There are other photos of Gavin Newsom from this event. He's sitting, he's chatting, he's having a good time, he's not wearing his mask. Then he gets this photo with Magic Johnson, which is even crazier because Magic Johnson, you know,
Has it?
has
HIV.
AIDS. He's had AIDS for decades. He is as immunocompromised as they get.
The first
And
big
yet Magic
disease or
Johnson's not cowering
virus.
in fear with the mask. Gavin Newsom's not cowering in fear with the mask. This photo was taken. Other photos were taken. Gavin Newsom tried to explain away.
HIV came out. It was
I
very
was
similar.
Very judicious yesterday.
Don't even touch me.
Very judicious, and you'll see in the photo that I did take, where Magic was kind enough, generous enough to ask me for a photograph, and in my left hand's the mask, and I took a photo. Rest of the time I wore it. as we all should.
Bah humbug.
Not when I had a glass of water or a thing, and I encourage everybody else to do so. And that's it.
And that's it.
Pause time here,
This
'cause
photo, okay? And it was,
talking about politics here. I just got into an argument with the guy that runs my ward. I used to work with him and we're kind of friendly, and I agree with a lot of his politics, but I told him straight up, you should not be talking about this because it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. A lot smarter people than you have been saying stuff, and it's come back to bite them because they've been spewing so much false information. I was like, just tell the people just to do what they want, but like, you can't be spewing stuff, and because it's gonna come back and bite you. It's done it to so many politicians. Look, I'm not gonna say all the politicians, but it's coming back to bite all these guys in the butts. And the ones that aren't are the ones that they're trying to censor.
And and it's fine. It's not a big deal. Except
Because the people they're trying to censor are willing to change their opinion. Others want to keep fucking denying it.
In between sips. In between
But my
bites, take
buddy
a
in the
sip.
ward, top guy,
I should say Magic Johnson has HIV. He doesn't have full-blown AIDS. He has HIV. Pretty immunocompromised. Okay, it's quite immunocompromised. That's the word. That was the word of 2020. Immunocompromised. No one had ever used that word before. Now everybody uses that word. Except the most immunocompromised people. Not so worried about it. What's that about? I am beginning to think that what most protects people from COVID-19 is not masks. Again, I'm not making a medical claim about masks or vaccines or whatever. Please, YouTube, don't take me down, okay? I'm just saying what most protects people from COVID-19. It's not the masks, and it's not the vaccines. I think what it is money and power. Because there's this,
no, but what protects you most is being healthy to begin with.
Really powerful people.
That's what should be the focus. I want to see the numbers on the underlying causes of people that are actually dying with this disease, and seeing how those two correlate and go from there. Because if you're unhealthy, that's elderly, obviously, that's just natural, but a long life. But I've heard of other ones, and that councilman or guy that I mentioned brought up diabetes. It's like, well, stage 2 diabetes is usually caused by person's one own's fault, or heart disease also. So there's certain ones I would like to see which ones are which. It's like if you die from smoking, if it's always caused, or if you die from cancer, lung cancer, if it's always from smoking. Maybe it was the asbestos or something else. Obviously, there's always going to be coincidence, but yeah. Bill Burr had it right. We had to thin the herd. All right, that's all for this vid. I want to appreciate him again for bringing up the truckers. Getting some attention to this. Yeah. To all you guys, have a good one. And a very pleasant day. What can you do? Club 44.